Hey, welcome guys. Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and we have another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, this time for May 11th, 2022. This is the video I put out every single week to help showcase the possibilities that exist out there in pocket change and cherry picking various different types of outlets like coin shops, shows, eBay, any other site that sells coins. Maybe those particular people, those dealers, really didn't pay attention to see if there was any known variety or error on the coin, and there's a lot of them. All right, there are dealers that just really don't care. So, with that being said, that's a really good opportunity for anyone who likes to treasure hunt for some of the most obscure, neatest looking coins out there. This is going to be a great way to add to your collection at a much lower cost, or what I like to do is simply flip them online and reap the rewards of the cherry pick. So a lot of the coins, as a matter of fact, every coin that you're going to see on the list today are ungraded. That's how I generally operate with these type of videos. The idea is don't bother sending any of these coins out to PCGS or NGC to have them certified or graded, because those are an extra expense that kind of defeats the purpose of what we got going on here on this video. And oftentimes, a lot of these coins certainly will sell for themselves. Spending $30, $60 for an error attribution or a variety attribution, at the end of the day, may not be worth it, especially if a coin is worth, like 20 to 50 bucks. It's really not going to enhance the value that much. And the last thing to point out before we jump into this list, these are all coins from the last 24 to 48 hours, straight from eBay. And all of the seller images are true and natural to the listings when they were sold. All right, I didn't juice any of them. The worst that happened was that I cropped a few so that way I could fit them all on one slide. But yeah, it's a pretty good looking list. Let's go ahead and check out and see what people are making money on this week, starting out with one of my favorites. And you're going to find that there's going to be a few of these silver dollar listings. They're all Morgan dollars, but people love to identify some pretty neat varieties out here. They call them VAM hunting, which is an actual website. It's vamworld.com. If you wanted to get an idea of the different types of varieties and stuff that you could find on these that aren't normally listed on any other publication, this would be a good way to, it's a pretty neat segment of the hobby if you're really interested in it. But generally, you could turn coins that generally are probably more better suited for the melt bin than something that has any numismatic value. Now, the cool part is, you're going to see a lot of these coins on the list that will turn a coin that is virtually pretty close to worthless and turn them into hidden gems that are worth quite a bit of money on the secondary market. All right, so on this particular coin right here, the seller had made mention that there's a few die cracks and breaks. The big selling point is this die break or chip right here on top of the S in states. But you can see also that there are a number of die cracks. And die cracks are relatively common on Morgan dollars, but finding some of the ones that are very notable, like the Thorn Head, which, believe it or not, is on the 21S as well. Those are some of the most coveted, highly sought-after varieties in any grade. This one right here, like I said, could easily be a melt piece, which is what, 30 bucks, $32. However, the seller did a great job promoting this one on eBay, and it ended up selling it for $59.95, which is a nice little sum of profit there. Probably 10, 15 bucks worth, but hey, it beats just selling it for scrap. So there you go. The next one that we have here is a 2018 Lincoln Shield Scent. Now you're going to notice there's a little bit of weakness on the reverse. This one right here was struck through just a little bit of grease. Okay, there was a little bit of grease on the die. And when this coin was struck, there's some of that strike through apparent there, just a general weakness over United States of America. This is really minor. As you could tell, a lot of people thought so as well, not really paying too much attention to the overall coin itself. The coin is very well circulated. This one, however, ended up selling for $6.10. Now we got some paper money. It's pretty well represented this week, but here's one of my favorites. It's a $2 bill, and it's a very, very modern issue at that. This is a 2017A. This is what Washington, D.C., BEP, and the Fort Worth facility are printing currently. Brand new 2017A series of notes. You're going to notice that the serial number is quite interesting. It's a 6 in a row with 2s. But another thing that the seller had also seen on here is just a general shift in one of the numbers, or a couple of them. They call this turn digit errors. These are quite minor, and they're very common out there in paper money collecting. However, I think the big selling point and feature of this particular listing is going to be the 6-2s, which is it's fringe fancy serial number collecting at best. I would say it's not going to be the most desirable, but someone did see some value here. Quite surprisingly, the note did sell for $103.72 here in the last day or so. A little checkup on the back of the note. This thing looks crispy fresh. I would say it's probably an uncirculated note. The next one that we have here, I'm willing to bet that a lot of you are unaware that it even exists. And there are many more other variants of this type of double to die that exists all throughout the Lincoln Memorial series. This is a 1972 dated example. As you can see, it's circulated. Nothing that's going to blow you away as far as grade. However, this is WDDR number 1. So this is a double die. You can see that spike there at the top of the bay right above Lincoln's head on the reverse. That's the doubling on this one. That's actually the top of that particular bay doubled and shifted. The rotation is shifted a little bit, so that way it looks like this. It looks like a spike, but this is indeed a double to die. This one ended up selling for $27.64. Not one that you typically come across in the open market, and that's probably why it sold for so much money. Again, this is a very specific type of collecting. You have to be really into it to have, just a pure passion and desire to want to look for these, because they can make your eyes tired really quickly. But hey, $27, that's a pretty good sale for this one. Now we did have a couple of the 2013 B star notes. These are all duplicate serial numbers that were printed at both the Washington, D.C. facility back in 2014, in addition to the Fort Worth printings of the same serial numbers with the star. Those were printed in 2017. So, yeah, there's a few of them that did sell. I'm highlighting a couple of them right here. So we have this first one right here, pretty well circulated. You can see it's even got a little staining on there. This one sold for $22.30 with 3 bids. This next example over here looks slightly better than the previous. It was actually sold by the same seller as well. This one, however, ended up selling for only $19.80 with 2 bids. But you're going to notice that these 2013 $1 bill B stars sell for quite a bit more money than any other star note of the same era. So if you found, like, say, a 2013 L, which is a San Francisco star, those sell for maybe $2 on the best of days. But because these are duplicate printed notes, serial numbers rather, they're going to fetch a lot more money because people are looking to find the 2-note matching pair, which will bump up the value of these by a huge margin. So that's something to keep in mind. You could always look out for these. People are still finding them quite frequently to this day. All right, so this is kind of like the newest, biggest kind of error to look for on the brand new 2022 quarters. So we have two different designs out currently. The third one's going to be coming out here very shortly. We have the Maya Angelou, which we've seen since the beginning of the year, and then also the Sally Ride quarters. Well, guess what? For both of those different types, you're going to be able to find the same, if not the similar, type of error. And that's going to be this field restricted strike through that you see right here. So this big old gaping hole that's in the coin was actually a big gob of grease and debris that was pushed around by the feeder finger on the die. So each different type will have a different kind of type of shape to it, but they're going to be all along kind of like that same region on that die. In this particular case, it's right over the area where the back of the ear and into the ponytail area is where we normally see these. These are stunning. These are the same type of errors that we saw on both the Tuskegee Airmen quarters from last year, which were phenomenal. We got one of those that did sell here that I'm going to talk about later. But also the American Samoa bat quarters. Okay, that is also the same type of anomaly. We all know how much those coins sell for. These are starting to come alive in the marketplace. People are recognizing that these are the same type of errors as those previous two. This particular example sold for $80. Okay, and this is like one of the bigger strike throughs that I've seen on this particular quarter. If you're going to look for these, I wouldn't wait too long. Again, people are finding them on both the Maya Angelou and Sally Ride quarters, respectively, as of right now. All right, so here's our first lot that I wanted to talk about. We have a few of these, and the big reason why I like talking about lots is that they offer a really good shot at picking up a bunch of a type of error for cheaper than you would normally pick them up for if you bought them singularly. Now, this is a 6-coin lot. They're all 2001 Lincoln Memorials. This is one of the more common dates to find Broadstrikes and off-center struck coins, which is what we have here. Take a look at the coins. There's going to be a few that have kind of condition issues. That top left coin obviously has a lot of carbon spotting, which is a type of corrosion. Just be wary since these are Zinkins. But this lot right here sold for $23.88, which represents about a $4 average cost per coin. Now the idea is you buy a lot like this, don't get hung up on keeping the coins, but flipping them, sell them individually, maybe for about $10. And the idea is you want to try and double your money. We're close here, but there's a few of the coins that, quite frankly, scare me because of condition. They might actually end up sitting in your eBay store for quite a while before someone takes a flyer on them. Here's a reverse of all the coins. Now, nothing really crazy as far as carbon spotting. The top two right coins right here have the most conditioned problems on there. But, this one's close. You could probably squeak out a 2x multiplier on these. It might just take a little bit of time. So $23.88 again is where this one ended at. Now, it's not beautiful, but the entire silver wartime era from 42 to 45 in the Jefferson Nickel series is plagued with a bunch of these bad annealing issues. Okay, we have a lot of laminations that you could honestly find throughout the series. Now, this coin also has its fair share of problems. It's very well circulated. It has a pretty deep scratch on the reverse, but still, with all those things considering, this did sell for $17.49. If it came down to it, I would certainly flip it and make a pretty good amount of money so that way I could buy other things that are much more meaningful to a collection. Now, here's the other coin with the field restricted strike through. Although, okay, this one is a heartbreaker. This one was a cheap pickup for someone looking for it. This is a Sally Ride 2022P Washington quarter. You can see the strike through is not as pronounced on this one behind the ear going into the ponytail area of Washington's head. But the pictures are very dark. They're very flat. The pictures, if you look at it on the listing, are quite small. so you have to blow them up pretty good. I would say the pictures are very pixelated as well. And another thing to keep in mind, this is a late sale from last night. Ended up selling about, 9:15 in the evening, which is something I like to tell people. Set up your listings so that way they end at an appropriate time when the entire nation is still awake, you know? End a listing so that way it ends around 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that's going to kind of guarantee more viewers toward the last 10 minutes of the closing of a sale. This one right here ended up selling for only $7.25 with 2 bids. I would imagine you would pick up something like this. And then, if not keeping it in your collection, maybe flipping it for around $40 to $50 as a buy it now type sale. The strike through isn't as massive as the previous example on the Maya Angelou, but still, $7 is way too cheap for this coin. There's a little bit of a close-up. The seller did have a microscope, a USB-style microscope with a screen. And this is actually a pretty decent picture here. But yeah, it's the late listing really killed this one's momentum. Now here's our next piece of currency. This is actually a nice one. It's a 1996 $20 bill. This is the first kind of push into the redesign of the currency during that period. But yeah, what do we know? It's either it's a miscut or a gross misalignment of the sheet. And I'm going to say it's more of a misalignment on the sheet because the third print is centered on that piece of paper right there. It's just that first print, and believe it or not, the back print is well centered on this example. So yeah, there was a pretty phenomenal shift before that first print was applied on there. And yeah, this is a very meaningful note that ended up selling for $207.98. Just a good looking piece of currency right here. Again, proving once again that even some rare type of errors like this doesn't necessarily need to be graded for the posterity of selling it. So something to keep in mind yet again. Now, like myself and a few others, we do love these improper alloy mix woody coins. Okay, you can find them on pennies, nickels, and a few other denominations. This is a 1917. This one is actually in really nice shape. I would say that it's probably, and it's very, very, it'll trick you a little bit. It'll trick your eyes. This one looks a lot more worn than it actually is. But I would say it's like a high-end AU, like a 58. But you could see some of the wood graining, especially on the obverse, which is kind of like the main focal point of a coin. This is a good one right here. Sold for $88.99. These are very widely collected by date. So people are always looking for upgrades to their existing collection or to the existing coin that they have in their collection of these woody type of coins. Always going to be popular, and some of the more tougher dates will obtain the most amount of money on the secondary market. Here's a 1953 Lincoln wheat cent. Well, where'd that come from? But this is a really cool one to find. This one's also attributed in the Cuds on Coins website. But this is a interior die break that is right on Lincoln's skull head area. These are referred to as cracked skulls. This is one of the biggest featured cracked skulls that you will find on any date of Lincoln wheat cent during the 50s. The coin is in really nice shape too, which helps out the overall final sale of this one. This one did sell for $13.90, which is a fair amount of money for this type of anomaly. All right, back to back, we have a few more Morgan dollars. We have an 1878S. Not the greatest looking condition coin, but at the same time, this is a tough date as well. This is the 7 tail feather type reverse. But also, this one has what they call the long knock variety. It's an actual VAM. I didn't bother to check what the VAM attribution number is, but if you look on the set of arrows here, where you see the feathers on the arrow, The long knock is going to be this middle tip right here that extends a little bit longer. There's the short knock, which is a lot more common. The long knock type of that arrow rather is going to be the one to look out for. This one right here, again, a coin that's probably worth somewhere in that $30 to $40 range without the variety, did sell for $92.50. Pretty good return on that one. And here's another one of my favorites, but it's actually quite common. 1891 CC Morgan dollars. This is the Carson City. This one was sold by Coins and Cards. You know them as the eBay dealer that sells a lot of like really nice tight pieces, and they're not graded either. This is a homegrown kind of eBay store right here that prefers their coins raw, something that you could truly touch, and hold in your hand. But this is what they call the Spitting Eagle type variety. It's actually more common to find the Spitting Eagle type of 1891 CC than it is finding one without the Spitting Eagle on the reverse. Yeah, this coin I would say probably grades out in that AU region, about uncirculated. Surprisingly, this coin brought the farm on eBay at $843.32 with 29 bits. This is a semi-common date of Carson City, so this was quite a surprising final sale on this one. But there you go, something to keep out for. If you have an 1891 CC, flip it over and check and see if you got the Spitting Eagle little die gouge on there. Pretty neat. All right, so don't be fooled by the condition of these notes. They are quite rough, but most of the value isn't what is in the condition. All right, some will say, well, everything's about condition. It doesn't necessarily have to be. We have two 1935 silver certificates here. Based on value alone, they're worth about $2 a piece without anything special or any additional type of errors or stuff going on. But this is actually a type of error that we used to cherry pick through back about 15, 20 years ago. Not as simple to do today, seeing as how there's a lot of emphasis on the treasure hunt, that even silver certificates in bulk are not immune to any sort of hunt. These have some pretty substantial misalignment on that back print. Even the rough looking note up top there has a little bit of the corresponding note as seen there, just a little sliver, but yeah, these are pretty cool to look out for. Yeah, and when you do find them, make sure you don't reveal your poker face beyond what it is and just buy them up for a couple bucks. If you're lucky, you'll come across them at shows, flea markets, and stuff like that. These things are just all over the place for cheap. So this two paper money lot error sold for $76, and that's with 14 bids. Now here's our next lot, and this one is more impressive. We have 4 Roosevelt dime errors, are all off-center struck. We have 3 96Ps and 1 97 Philadelphia, all represented in this one, and they range from about 10-15% off center to as high as 25% off center. These are quite nice, and these have resale written all over them. The 4 coins by themselves sold for $63.26 with 16 bids. You could probably easily get around $25 a coin in this particular lot, considering that there's not nearly a base of off-center struck Roosevelt dimes out there to be had. And these are all quite nice. These are all kind of like BU mid-state type of coins right here. And again, just a really nice lot. I would say you could probably make about $30-35 by reselling these coins individually on eBay. Now this is a good little cherry pick here. How about a bargain basement 1904 Indian head cent with, count them, 2 rim clips on there. A coin that probably could be purchased for under $1 at any coin shop. And believe me, these are overlooked quite often by dealers. This particular coin sold for $29.36, representing another great under the radar type of cherry pick. Excuse me. Now this one's cool, and we've seen this quite a bit on not only Lincoln cents, but also Jefferson nickels, and I believe quarters as well. Just these phenomenal strike-throughs that exist all throughout the last like 3 to 4 years of coins, mostly in part due to the bad kind of quality control that we're seeing at the mint. We did live through this pandemic age, so there was less head count at the U.S. Mint facilities, and therefore more opportunities to find stuff like this. It's got this long strike through. It could be a wire bristle. It could be a detached reading of some sort. It's really hard to say, but this one's really phenomenal looking. It's not a scratch because it doesn't have the buildup on each side of that anomaly. This thing is just... It's sharp. It's an incredibly sharp strike through. This one right here, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $24. $20 to $50 seems to be the going rate for these different types of strike throughs of this type, whether it's like a wire bristle or a staple or something. They could get a lot higher too, depending on condition. So again, keep an eye out for these. They come in all different shapes and sizes and squigglies and all that. It's a really good area to kind of cherry pick. Now this one's quite minor, but we have a 1992p Washington quarter. It's slightly off center, as you can tell there, not by much. This thing right here, it would get overlooked quite a bit. This one ended up selling for $12. And then here's another update on one of the infamous error coins of 2021. This is the Crown Die Chip, not the most advanced stage of this type, but this is a good looking coin too. It's a really nice mid-state example. Beautiful, beautiful coin. There's a little bit of a close-up in case you forgot what the Crown Die Chip looks like on top of Washington's head. This one is more medium in size than any of the other ones I've seen. This one ended up selling for $67.89. Again, another really solid sale. These are going to age beautifully in the years to come as some of the more mid-state examples dry up in the market. Now this one caught me by surprise because there's one coin here that's not like the rest of them. This is another lot of error coins, and they're all North Carolina coins. The actual listing shows this as being all off-center coins, except for one. That bottom right quarter in both images is actually an elliptical clip. It's not off-center at all. This is a rare error in statehood quarters. So the amount of money that this one sold for was $69.95. I guarantee that the elliptical clipped example that you see in this screen right here, that bottom right coin, will probably recoup all the money for the entire lot. Keep in mind, there are mistakes that are had and done on occasion. This is one right here, and the new buyer probably knows that this coin is in this listing, and that represents a really, really good cherry pick on eBay. Always be aware of what's out there. There are a lot of people that are cherry picking on eBay, but not everybody can cover everything. So this was a fantastic pickup. Now this is one that we've showcased on our PCMRs before. Okay, so this is a after strike lamination. It's a fully involved, probably was a clamshell lamination, but half of the coin had essentially fallen off. All right, just because of poor alloy mix, which causes just the impurities within the planchets themselves. But yeah, this one's pretty cool. It's a really nice shape as well. This one sold for $18. Yeah, that's pretty much a going rate for these. The nicer the condition, the more that they're worth. But I don't typically see these hit like higher price volumes unless it's a like a bigger coin, like an Ike dollar, or maybe a silver piece, something like that. Something different, a little bit unusual. But yeah, this is a pretty neat lamination. It's one of the more radical types. Now, there are a couple just really, really phenomenal bomb-ish type of currency errors. We have a pretty massive fold-over, butterfly fold, whatever you want to call this. It looks like a paper airplane attached itself to this dollar bill. Yeah, but there was an obvious corner that was folded prior to the printings of this $19.99 bill. You can see the back of it as well. Just really neat effect here. And this particular note sold for $205. Again, pretty good amount of money. One of the more major errors that collectors of currency are looking for. And here's another one, a first yet again on the channel. How about some early pre-1933 gold? We have a 1926 quarter eagle with a lamination right on the obverse there. First time that we've seen a lamination on this channel on any early gold, but there you go. Glad to deliver for you for the first time. Yeah, it really looks no different than any other lamination on any other composition of coin. All right, which is pretty cool. Which, even the early gold manufacturers of planchets and stuff, they had their issues as well. So does this add a phenomenal amount of premium to an already premium gold coin? This one right here sold for $552.50 with 2 bids. Yeah, there's a little bit of a premium in there, even at a quarter eagle common date type of coin. That probably is like maybe 30% above what the market is on these early golds. Kudos to the seller, and a beautiful piece to add to the buyer. Yeah, again, you just never know where you're going to find this stuff. Coins and Cards brought us, again, another banger. How about 1864 repunch date? Look at this thing. This thing is amazing. But furthermore, you guys notice that the T in Liberty is missing? Yeah, that's a clogged die type of error right there as well. The coin is in super shape. It's like a high-end AU, probably AU58. There's very little wear, if any. I would say it probably has a shot at a low mid-state grade as well. But the big selling feature of this coin is going to be the repunch date. You can see the extra top of the 4 and 6 in there, which are quite common, and then the doubled 1 as well. Actually, out of every date in here, the 8 is less spectacular, although you do see an extra bottom curl of the 8 right inside that area there. This one right here ended up selling for $665.05 with 29 bids. Again, Coins and Cards are continuously hammering out some of the most desired raw chase pieces out there. So another fantastic listing. All right, here's another one right here, 1999 $1 bill. Yeah, you can see that the third print is incredibly misaligned here on this one. There's a lot of overlap of the serial numbers onto the first print devices. This one right here sold for $141.89 with 28 bids. Spectacular looking note. Again, the condition's not great, but the error far exceeds the importance of it. There was a little bit of the back image there, showing again the overall condition. So here's another fantastic lamination. It's not dated, but we could make certain that it is a Wartime silver nickel. Now this has some what probably was a clamshell lamination, but overall the coin is just suffering from an improper alloy mix. You can even see the reverse has its own detached lamination as well. Good looking coin, even though there's no date. This one right here sold for $36.81 with 5 bids. Now here's a date that I don't see CUD die breaks on that much. 1964D Lincoln Memorial Cent has a pretty nice CUD right here at the base of Lincoln's bust. Again, you just never know where you're going to find these little die breaks, but yeah, CUDs are kings. I've said that, and I'll say it every single week. They command the most amount of very consistent money every week. This one right here sold for $31.56 with 3 bids. I had to confirm. It was either 5 or 3, but it was 3 bids on this one. Here's that other strike through that took the world by storm last year. This is this time on the Tuskegee Airmen. These are all Philadelphia minted examples. You can see that strike through on the reverse there, right on the Tuskegee Airmen building, along with a little secondary strike through that's sitting in the fields. So when you have those 2 events, they're generally quite nice. This one right here sold for $105. Still a very valuable coin. If you find it, congratulations. Enjoy the cash. All right, we got a little early silver. Man, check your silver. You never know if something like this will be sitting in your scrap. 1960 Roosevelt dime is your 90% piece here. This one, yeah, clamshell lamination, baby. This is, again, keep it attached. Do not detach it. It's not going to be worth as much if you break it off. It's going to be considered post-mint damage at that point. This one sold for $30.95 with 7 bids. Now that is a screaming bargain for this piece. All right, we got more currency, just amazing currency. How about this one right here? We have a dollar bill, 2006. This is actually a much more modern note than some of the other ones we've talked about today. This one right here, ladies and gentlemen, has a super shifted sheet prior to that third print being applied on there. Check out the back as well. Just way off center. The serial numbers and the seals are all perfectly centered for the sheet. It's just the first print and the second print on the back, both were kind of like cattywampus. So the sheet was misfed in a certain way. And yeah, this is the byproduct right here. This one, for its condition, get this, sold for $494.88 with 29 bids. I know, you're probably asking yourself, what are people thinking buying this ragtag looking note for that amount of money? Well, it is a very rare error to see first and second print shifted way off. If the third print was shifted way off too, we'll just chalk it up as it being a miscut. And oftentimes those were being faked on the more modern notes because you could have bought sheets of these and people did all sorts of weird shenanigans. But this one is a true blue error. And we're going to end it off on probably my favorite coin of the week, 1917 Mercury dime that is slightly broadstruck. What a pretty looking coin. And not one that you would come across too often, but the earlier stuff with any sort of meaningful error is always going to be desirable. This piece here sold for $245. Beautiful coin right here. All right, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one, guys. Hopefully this video gave you a little inspiration to do a little hunting of your own. We'd love to hear some of your success stories out there in the coming weeks or two. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. That's going to go ahead and conclude the PCMR for this week. Coinaholics, we are discovering together each and every single day. Wish you guys best of luck in your hunts. And I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.